up with people who throw caution to the wind. You know, you'll find them in different varieties. Like people who run their little power companies, or they have their little causes that they own, or they think they're part of something bigger, and they make, if they're in the decision making power grid, they have the power to make decisions. Their decisions are always about throw it out there and let the consequences come after. It is a completely ridiculously stupid thing, because these people don't make decisions alone. Their absolute ridiculous mentality is to involve everyone around them to justify their jackass way of life. And I use that word carefully, because the very word jackass is of a donkey. And they say that you ever heard the term as stubborn as a donkey. Stubbornness, to be stubborn, is absolutely one of the most um, uh, 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 despicable traits, personality traits to have. It's like a little child that refuses to acknowledge they're about to experience some serious pain by the parent who loves them. And some parents who are probably very wise and would consider probably very hard will let their kids experience a certain amount of pain before the kid gets it. That, hey, you know what? I need a lot to learn. I need to grow up. Not so with these people. From what I gather about people who like to throw caution to the wind, they've had so many people enable them, especially people who have had good looks, right? People who come from privileged environments, or they kind of they kind of sit ahead above others, or they're very demanding, or say somebody who is like has a disability. Now, I'm not speaking for everyone, but if they can use anything that they have, whether it be a handicap or a way, something they have that's good about them out externally, they use it to their advantage. They can always throw caution to the wind, because you and myself and whomever is in the immediate environment becomes hurt by their stupidity. Guess what they don't get? They don't get the hurt. The people who cover these people, and it's something about, maybe it's because of being the devil's world. The Bible says that this world is ruled by the god of this world, whom is Satan, which means adversary, enemy. I mean, it goes a step forward. When he's called enemy, it means he's the enemy of everything that is good, of everything that is clean, of everything that is pure, of everything that is of the light, of everything that is how can I put it, that doesn't have nothing dark inside of it. Like lucid, right? And the thing is, his very influence moves through the people who gladly welcomes his influence for their own reasons. As the old adage goes, there's no honor amongst thieves. So it was with these people in general, just throw caution to the wind. The part about being careless is the very word careless. They don't care. You'll probably find these people are very good with the word whatever. Oh, well, it's your call. Well, it's your choice. Even after you actually given these people a chance to hear what you're saying, and they've the things about these kinds of folks. And let me say this up, and I use the word very lightly, because they're bad luck. They are bad luck. They're very influenced. The thing that's hard about this is that they can lead you astray by one minuscule influence of their decision, can literally derail your life just enough. They're the kind of people that you're on the email, you're having you're about to apply for a job, or you're having a transaction take place, very important. They're the people that text at that very second. Is that coincidental? No way. The problem about being in their lives that makes it a duality is that you are participating willfully. Now, in the avenue of social etiquette and being social goodness and so on and so forth and neighborly, we don't really have it in us. We haven't been trained enough to be more confrontational, more in your face to these kinds of people. So we enable them. We have compassion upon them. We are very more accommodating, and they rely on those good qualities to get what they want. So what are they really after? If they can throw caution to the wind so many times, and they've seen consequences take place. Like, trust me, like you do something nonsensical, and it is so you can't avoid it. It is so mathematical. You can't avoid it. You do something a certain way, there is going to be consequences. Okay, no ifs ands or buts. It may not happen now. It eventually happens. Okay. One of the reasons why they evade and they get away with consequences because they've somewhat manage to, and it is a dangerous thing when they do this. They manage to truncate, cut, put down, destroy willfully this person inside of them called conscience. Are they aware of social conscience in every respect? You bet they are. What gives them the benefit of the doubt is getting back to is the social accommodations, the social aspects of how we operate as decent, civilized human beings in life. They rely on these aspects to continue their circus act, their shit show. And I use that word not as a curse word, but it is a high level of feces. Somebody gets a whole lot of diarrhea around them and on them. And that's these people. They're so unclean that their very ridiculousness is like feces to other people. And that, to throw caution to the wind, to be careless, to be a person who will not take accountability. It is feces. It is defilement. Okay? It is defilement. Jesus spoke about certain aspects of qualities that comes forth from the human heart that defiles that person. And that person in turn defiles other people. But getting back to it, to these people, it is the enablers that are our biggest problem. Because buffer systems will take on their consequences. The majority of times in the spiritual world, when the whirlwind begins, the buffer goes to the consequences goes to the buffers because they've surrounded them with their light, right? And to encase and to give a very, how can I put it, a very strong case because I care about you, to righteousness and to justice sometimes prevents their judgment just because you're there. Sometimes God overlooks people's judgments because the righteous are in the environment, lest the righteous should also be punished with the wicked. So God is very careful about this. He loves the righteous. The Bible says that. And people who enable these people, and there's not a group of people, of course, that enable them, the ones who are just like them. But the ones who are just like them, because there's no honor amongst thieves, they know when they're about to do something stupid and they know their consequences and they're able to stay out of the firing range once the shit hits the fan. They're able to stay away from it because they know them very well. And they've worked an art just like these idiots, these jokers, okay, to be able to Once the consequences begin, they know how to move over and let it hit the person beside them. And I really do believe, and I believe that it's more, there comes a point that God will allow the good and those who are wrong them, they're enabling them to get hit very hard until they learn a hard lesson. Because it is a great sin to enable a horrible idiot. Especially the Bible says that the stupid are they who will not receive correction. Stupid are they. Stupid. Devoid of all level of understanding. And I really do see, I really have seen it. I've seen it in my own life. The kind of consequences that they can cause, they can actually make people get killed for it. They can make people get into accidents, even just by them being in your environment. They can bring a lot of bad luck. And that's why I really think about being thrown caution to the wind. You could be, they could even make one small suggestion. And it's really weird because there have been stories written about this stuff, that real life stories of people who made bad turns in their life because of the company they kept, because of the people who simply couldn't care less. And the thing is, about people who like to throw caution to the wind, I'm going to just give you one thing to give you enough energy to get away from them. They don't care nothing about you. Don't fool yourself. They've worked to an art to make you feel like you are important. That's because that art is called the art of flattery. And flattery corrupts. You know, the Bible says a charm is deceitful. I find people who are incredibly careless and are incredibly witty, incredibly charming, whatever it is, whatever. They are snakes. They are incredibly evil. Okay? And just like the word charm is used for a snake, it's in their nature to move into your environment and slither. And before you know it, there's a snake, and you go, wait a second, how did that happen? Because they cover themselves very well, just like a chameleon. And they're able to switch identities very quickly. Now, what makes them another thing that makes them dangerous, and I'm going to go into this in another video, is switching and being able to attach themselves to your identity. That you somewhat find yourself wearing their stuff and they're wearing your stuff. And it's kind of like something out of the Twilight Zone where you go, wait a second, this person's actually mimicking me right in front of my face. And I'm being made to feel like I'm like I'm like them. And you go, where did the switch happen? All in all, get away, stay away, get out. Blech. Don't keep company with them. And I'm learning, and I'm still learning. It's a hard lesson to learn, man. It's a hard lesson to learn. Being able to say no and simply really meaning it. You know, the Bible says that God does not answer the prayers of a double-minded person. And I believe the majority of decisions that we make in our life where God gets involved, some people call it the law of attraction, the laws of the universe. It's God's laws, man. When you make up your mind towards anything that is good, all this other stuff starts to come into play. And it works the same way too about evil people. When people make up their minds for anything, anything is possible. And you ought to read a story about the Tower of Babel. That's what God said. Let me go down there and confuse them, lest everything that they set their mind to shall come to pass. That's how powerful we are when we make up our mind. You all have a good day and make up your mind to get away from them who are careless because they don't care about you. Have a good day. Like and subscribe.